What's up, y'all? Happy Sunday. Welcome to another episode of I Love My Kids, but I'm your host, Morgan. Again, joining me, I have Miss Nikki, Mr. Washington, and our guy, Tony P. What's up, guys?
What's going?
What's good? What's good?
How y'all doing? Y'all having a good weekend?
Absolutely. I slept.
Oh, that's always a positive. Always a positive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we jump into our topic this week is to spank or not to spank, and we're going to discuss how that plays a role in your parenting skills, how it affects kids, not only spanking but public displays of discipline. So, but before we get into that, we had a video. Well, we kind of had a video, but for whatever reason, the video is not playing. But just so that y'all understand the context of this video, there was a video that went around on Facebook where a husband and wife were arguing. The situation is that the husband pays $500 a month in child support, but his son needed a new pair of shoes. So the wife got all upset and was like, no, you're not paying, no extra money for nothing extra. You pay $500. Why you got to do extra? If you going to buy them shoes, then basically she kicked them out. All right, so we all know the internet. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The video's fake, but it does pose a question. Like, is she tripping? Is she ain't tripping? What y'all think? I'm on mute. Y'all can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. Yeah.
Well, what y'all think? What y'all think about that situation?
I'm over here producing.
Oh, my God, Tony.
He over there. He over there micromanaging. That's what he's doing.
He over there doing his job. Don't go for him. Don't go for him.
Whatever. He are Tommy.
Right. Since you always got so much to say, Mr. Washington, how do you feel about that video?
Man, let me tell you what.
Why you have to switch your eyes like that first? You didn't have to do all that.
It's gotta. But so I think it's a crazy situation. Period. Because if your child needs some shoes, if you got it, then just buy the kid some shoes. I don't like child support. It becomes this whole sticky situation where you say, okay, all right, well, what is the child support covering? Women hate being asked that question, oh, where's my money going? But then when it's actually time to not ask that question and to actually just do something, now is a problem. And now it's like, okay, why do we have to have this back and forth? Like I had another friend of mine who posted that same question on her page. And I was surprised at how many women actually agree with the wife in terms of, well, if he pays $500, that's more than enough. Well, based on what? Based on what parameters are we talking about is enough for a kid? So I think she was wrong. She got really out of pocket when she said, fuck you and fuck your kids. That, at that point in time, that would have been a whole fight. Like, that, it would just been a wrap after that. There's nothing else to really say at that point in time. But just buy the kids some shoes. Like, I could see it maybe if he wanted the brand new Jordans that came out last year. But if there's an issue, you better go get the Kmart special, the Route 66s, or the light up K Swisses. Like, that's just how I feel about it. Like,
so my instant response to this was, it may have been a little different. My initial question right off the bat was, well, does he not take care of the household that he's living in? Because I have seen situations, okay, yeah, you have these kids, but we also have a child or kids together, and this household is lacking, but your other child is not. So it wasn't the matter of, it kind of wasn't, I didn't jump to a right and wrong, who's right and wrong thing. I immediately went into the question like, well, why she feel like that? Like, what is he not doing at his own house? Like, I've never personally come across a female that doesn't want the person she's with to take care of his kids. But at the same token, if you already gave your $500 and we got stuff that's about to be cut off over here, and car is about to be picked up because you ain't doing your part over here, then it's like, well, you obviously don't understand your balance. Like you obviously have not figured out your balance. So that was my initial question when I heard it, when I saw the video.
Well, I think that from going based off of the video alone, that I think she was out of line. Had she brought up anything like, where we need over here, we can't afford to give more over there. You know what I'm saying? She was just saying, F you, F them kids. I don't care what he need. You gave what you gave, and she should have never went to child support. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I just feel like clearly he's got it to give, and he had no issue with it. She should have just been on board with him. I think it's extremely trash of her to, number one, maybe they have kids, or maybe the kids that they are with, like maybe he's over there with her and her kids, and he's more present in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Because he's married to her, he's there with her, 24/7. I just feel like in a situation where if we're lacking and we don't have it, that's one thing. But if I have it to give, here you go. Like,
But and the one thing I will say, because what it sat to me, and that was kind of one of the things I pointed out too, Nikki, was the fact that because a lot of women were saying, "Oh, well, maybe he's not doing something at home, or maybe they broke and they just ain't got it. And he trying to do too much." But that wasn't the premise of her argument. Right. Generally, if it's a situation where you're saying, "Hey, we can't afford that," if you're gonna sit here, you're gonna put him on Front Street. I mean, you gonna have to put out the whole story at that point.
Right.
Your whole argument was you're already paying $500, so why are you doing anything more?
Right.
Like to me, it sounds like she getting $36 from her baby daddy.
Oh, sorry.
It sounds like she only get $36 from her baby daddies, and she mad that he got paid so much at that point.
Possibly.
I'm like, look, to me, I feel like, okay, if you got a problem with this man paying $500 still taking care of his kids, I would have suggested you had a baby by a nigga who could pay $500 a month child support. Then maybe this won't be an argument at that point.
Right, because at the end of the day, they're going to look at both incomes and come to a medium and say, hey, this is what we think is fair. When you put all your stuff on paper and she puts all her stuff on paper, this is what is fair as far as the courts, as far as what the court thinks. And he seems like he didn't have an issue paying $500. If anything, he should be the one
exactly
saying, I'm not paying
exactly.
Not the wife. That's out of line, because I just feel like had her argument been, we got a bill due and we can't afford, and we can't, like, if she had harped on the can't afford part of it, I'd have been more empathetic with her. But I can't, because she was just mad because he pays the amount that he pays, and she feels like he shouldn't do anymore.
Let me ask y'all this. Going back to one of our previous episodes, like, of course, as soon as I saw the video, I was like, this fake, because like the same words kept coming out of her mouth. Like the argument wasn't progressing. But going back to the episode we did the other week, how far is too far for social media? Like, I would never have thought, like, how did you even think about this situation to make a video out of it? Like,
so I mean, like, the fact of the matter is, in 2022, people do anything for attention. Like, that's just what it is. So I do I feel like it's fake? Probably. But do I feel like it's a situation where a lot of women secretly think that, hey, you already paying enough and don't pay no more to this woman? Absolutely. I wouldn't put it past the bitterness of a previous situation coming back and rearing this ugly head on your new situation because you don't like what somebody else has done to you before. So now you feel like, okay, let me pass that ish on.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, before we jump into this week's topic, shout out to everyone who has said A to us. We got Diggs, BTW, Kevin,
Hey,
hey. We got another Facebook user
That's
saying, hey,
Kiki.
y'all. Hey,
That's
hey,
Kiki.
Kiki.
Kiki, do you
oh,
love me? Hey,
oh yeah. By the way, we're on Twitch right now as well. We done
what's up,
expanded.
Twitch?
We
So
Hey,
on
our guy
Twitch.
Tony P has done us and a justice. He has added us to the platform Twitch. So we are now streaming live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook.
All
All
right.
right. So if you're just not joining us, this week's topic is to spank or not to spank. So the first question out the gate, yes or no? These are just yes or no questions, guys. Were you spanked as a child? Yes or no, Nikki?
Hell yeah.
All right, Tony, yes or no?
absolutely.
Absolutely. And Mr. Washington.
I
Let me
know
tell
he
you
got
what.
beat. He got beat.
I got beat. I ain't get spanked. Spanking stop. That spanking went out the window the minute my teacher picked up that phone and was like, "I'm calling your mama." No, that was an ass whooping at
Man,
that point.
man. All right, so we've
Kiki
all
said
been
she got
spanked.
spanked too.
You got spanked too. All right, we all been spanked. What is the one spanking that you will never ever forget? Y'all all thinking about it. Washington, what you got?
It's been so many terrible, terrible times.
Man, this is so
Yeah, you're
long since I
right.
had a spanking. Like
See,
I can't
see
even.
the problem is I know my mama watch this podcast. Not only do she watch this podcast, her ass be commenting in the damn comments on YouTube on this video. So I don't know if I want to put my ass whoopings out on the middle of the street. But I
Hey,
remember
mama,
one
for real,
time.
whatever. It's good. Go ahead.
I
So
remember one
what?
time. Like, so my mom was really, really adamant. Like, if this, I think this, I had to be in high school. My mom was like, "You better not catch no ride home with no kids." Like, that was it. Like, my mom was like, "You better not catch no ride home. She don't care how late she was picking me up. She'll come pick me up." I was feeling myself. Um, I had one of my friends that he had a car. So after band practice, my mom was late picking me up. So I was like, shoot, hopped in the car and got my ride home. Wrong answer. My
Disobedient.
mom was in that driveway waiting for me to get there. I'm talking
Mm.
about when I got to the house, she said either you gonna come in and get your ass whooped or you gonna stay out here and you gonna sleep outside tonight.
Ooh, your mama said the ass word. Your mama be
M-
cussing.
Not ass.
Man, look,
Oh goodness.
my mom wasn't playing. I'm talking about I got my ass in that house, and I swear, at that point in time, I thought I was calling Jesus and all 12 disciples by the time she got done with me. My mama
So
ain't playing.
Lawrence, I'm interested to know because I know that you are taller than your mom.
Yes.
How your mama whoop you?
That's
And then
mama.
Okay.
what you
Okay.
mean?
Let me put out something. My mom is
Did
from
she
North
make you
Philly.
lay down and whoop you, or how she?
No, let me tell you what I'll put myself on Front Street. I swung at my mama one time in my life, and when I say my mama summoned the strength of 8 niggas and picked me up and threw me to the other side of the room.
Yo.
Hell no! Why would you do that? Who did you
What?
think you
It was
were?
okay. No. It was completely.
Mr.
It was
Big
complete
Son.
reflex. Let me defend myself. It was complete reflex because she hit me, and you know how somebody hit you, and you're like, "What?" Yeah. So after that, yeah, my stepdaddy
You
had
knew
to
that
come
was your
save
mama.
me.
You knew it was your mama. Stop playing. And
Man,
you know,
Man, my
cut it
mom
out.
beat me from here to Timbuktu. My mom ain't playing about that, and then she got to the point where she stopped using belts, and it became knockout 98. Nah, bro.
that's
Mm-mm.
funny.
Nikki, what's the whooping that you remember the most?
Mine. All right. I remember one time. I mean, I had a mouth on me. And my brother, he ain't never get beat. He ain't never get yelled at. He ain't never get scolded. He was like the golden child. And we're 13 months apart. That's it. And he told me, he's like, when you get in trouble, just go in your room, slowly close the door, don't slam it, and don't talk back. So my mother was yelling at me, cursing me out. I went in my room after she yelled at me. I'll never forget it. I gently closed the door, like literally. You couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear me close the door. All I know is that my door come flying back at me. She kicked the door in. Like I did everything my brother told me to do because he don't ever get in no trouble. And I'm gonna do what he do. She kicked the door in. She tore me up. And I said after that, I might as well keep mouthing off. I might as well keep talking back. I might as well keep slamming this door. Cause no matter what I do,
you're gonna get it.
I'm gonna get it anyway. So I was always the black sheep of my family anyway. Everybody hate me. So I mean,
yeah. And Tony, what about you?
Hey, I'm just tripping over Nikki Mama pulling the kick though.
No, you already know how it was.
That she did a bounty tank on me.
That's one of them police. That was one of them no knock warrants right there.
She from Harlem. She from Harlem, so
that was a good ass.
She's not like that no more. She's she's saved and stuff like that, so she don't do too much of that type of stuff.
Girl, they always do that when we get older. I'm like, where was that energy when we were little? But Tony, what about you?
I think my most memorable whooping was my last whooping because that's when I started to fight back.
Oh,
it was my dad.
Oh,
and yeah, I remember it was our old house. We was on the bottom. We was in the bottom floor, and like blah, blah, and I felt like it was going on too long. Like, okay, like I get it. Like, stop. I think I was like, oh no, it wasn't. I wasn't 7th grade. It had to be like 5th or 6th grade. And I was a big kid, so like I was able, like me fighting back. I had some to me. You know what I'm saying? And they cloaked it under I was getting too old for whoopings, but nah, it was actually because I was starting to fight back a little bit. But yeah, I can't remember what I did. I think it was something having to do. It had to be something to do with this. The only time I got a whooping was because something I did in school.
Man, so I don't have so many whoopings. Nice. Like I don't have so many whoopings from my mama and my daddy. I can't even.
I got my ass whooped for waking up.
Man, I know. When we were younger and you used to like pat your behind, like when people was talking to you and you want to hear them, you would like hit your behind. I did that one time to my dad. Well, you're a dude, so it was like you hit your behind, like whatever. And I did that, and my dad was like, "Who you talking to?" And I was like, nobody. He was like, "Oh, so I'm nobody now." And I was like, "Nah, that ain't what I'm saying. I'm just saying I was just doing it." He made me go outside and pick my own switch. Have y'all ever had
it? It was one of those. Oh,
it was one of those. I got my ass whooped, had to go lay down. I think I had to sleep. I slept the whole night. But then I'm telling y'all, I don't have so many ass whoopings. I can't even. I don't even know what's the best or the worst. I can't even. I don't know.
There's such thing as the best.
Well, hold on, real quick. Yeah, I got a question.
There's one time that my mom whooped me in the parking lot, and I was like, "Bro, are we done? Can we stop doing this? Let's not do this anymore."
Let me ask you a question. What's the craziest thing that y'all done had your asses whooped with?
I think it's always been belts and switches.
Belts and switches until it got to the boxing. That
right. Fist.
But now, Lawrence, I was gonna ask you, which whoopings were your worst? The African whoopings or the non-African whoopings?
Oh wow.
No, see, okay, so my dad's side of the family, my dad was more the side where he plucked you, he hit you upside your head, but his hands were made of steel. He had them Hulk Hogan hands. So when he hit you, it gave you a concussion. It wasn't one of those things where you was like, oh crap, no, you didn't see straight for about 4 to 6 hours. That was his thing. And that was not something that you want. That's not something that you wanted to deal with when it came to my daddy. That's just how he was. He had too many kids to start whooping all of us with.
Wow.
I just want to acknowledge that we have a celebrity in the comment section, Miss Sierra
What do you
Can
got?
Cooks. She's a celebrity and a published author. She has a children's book that she just published, and
Whoop,
Wow.
whoop.
uh,
Hey,
Okay.
I,
Sarah.
make sure you drop that link in the group so that we can support your book, Sierra.
Hey,
Yes,
Sierra.
ma'am.
Thanks for joining us.
Sierra, what you be cooking though, girl? Tell us in the comments what you be cooking.
Ooh,
What's your best dish, girl? Leave it in the comments and we gonna come back to it because I want to
man.
know.
Okay. I want to always eat. Face
You know
ass. Come
I
on,
love to
man.
eat. Like whatever.
Y'all
Y'all
just got
all
mad
know
at
I
me
like to
because I
eat.
said what I was eating
Oh,
for dinner.
No,
Hey,
because I'm
don't.
real
hungry.
quick.
That's why.
Oh, she said
So I
mac and
remember,
cheese. Oh,
I
she
need
I
said
that
remember one
recipe.
time.
Mhm.
I remember one time I
Yeah.
got my ass
What
whipped. My mama didn't have anything to whip my ass with, so she didn't have a belt. She didn't have access to a belt or anything. So a couple of days before, we had went to a Braves game, and they give out those souvenirs at the Braves game.
Mhm.
So the souvenir that we went that time was like a little miniature baseball bat. And my mom whooped my ass with that baseball bat. I was so pissed.
That is abuse.
Hell, the baseball bat is too little. How she hit you with that little bitty baseball bat?
I was only like 10 at the time. Not even that. I wasn't even 10. I had to be probably like I had to probably be like 8 or 9. My mom did not, man, what? And then I had mouth too.
Oh yeah,
Man,
you
stop it.
could. Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-mm.
I could see that. All right, so next question. So we've all established that we have all had great ass whippings. So now that we're older, I know that you all hear like, oh, it messes with kids' mental stability, and how they how they handle stress, or they go out into the world thinking that when they're upset they can hit people. What do you all feel? Do you feel like that is the case when it comes to you? Not we're not on the kids yet. We're talking about you as a person. Do you think that getting a whooping impacted you or affected you in any negative way?
It did with me. It made me now looking back, it made me very angry. It made me like snap real quick on anybody. I didn't really feel no pain. Like if I was fighting somebody, I never felt pain. They used to call me a firecracker. And anybody that's ever watched me fight, you probably couldn't imagine what I could do to a person by just fighting them with my hands, not hitting them with nothing or any type of weapons, just with my hands. I would literally go somewhere else. And I don't like anybody to touch me. And I always tell people, if you ever see me fight, please don't try to break me up. Don't touch me. Because if you touch
Mm-mm.
me and I'm not finished fighting, then it's gonna it's gonna spill over to you. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell people, if you see me getting into it with somebody, don't touch me until I stop myself. It made me real numb to a lot of things and how I handle in relationships, just with people I've worked with, and it spilled over into my kids. So
Okay. All right, Mr. Washington, what about you?
Um, I don't think it had a crazy impact on me. Like I knew my mama didn't play. Like I wasn't really necessarily a bad kid. I just had a lot of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So like my issues was always the fact that I always had to have the last word. And so I wouldn't necessarily say it affected me terribly. Um, I think it was just more or less the fact of I hated ass whoopings. Like I wasn't gonna play. Like it was just one of those things where I was just like, yeah, I don't want no smoke. I just didn't want no smoke with my mama. So I was like, let me just stay the hell away. Let me just stay the hell away from these ass whoopings.
All right, Tony, what about you?
I think it kept me out of jail. For that same reason, I hate ass whoopings. I hate getting in trouble, so it spilled over into adulthood. But it did sacrifice the relationship I had with my father. Though I did not like my father growing up, like at all. It got a little bit better going into adulthood, but it was never really like that.
So it affected you in that way in your
Well, yeah.
relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I mean, I feel like it was more than just the whoopings, but it
That's what
definitely
I was
played a
going to
part.
ask you. That played a part, but that wasn't the nail in the coffin. Like there were
Right.
other things going on. Yeah.
Right.
So I think it didn't really affect me. The crazy part about it is I would still do shit to get ass whoopings. Like I think I got
Right.
to the point where I was just numb to the ass whoopings. Like okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Like but it didn't affect me, or at least maybe I don't know, but I don't feel that it affected me in any negative way.
Oh.
But who knows? All right, so Sierra said,
But hold up, Sierra. And on top of that, the whole I didn't do that. I forgot I did that to you. No, I didn't. I didn't do it.
It's not gaslighting, is it?
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, the gaslight get real when you get older and you actually start having that open dialogue about things and how it really actually affected you. Because like then you start to realize the generational gap between what your parents dealt with and then what they added to you, and then you look at it as how you're going to add it to your kids.
I agree. I agree. I think
that's a lot in forgiveness. You have to think about their upbringing.
Right. That's where I was going with
it. It took me a long time to realize, okay, wait a minute. If you're raising me off of the tools that you had, the tools that you were given, and so I can't really put all the blame on you. As long as you acknowledge it, but don't acknowledge some of the bad things and then acknowledge the easy parts.
Right. So during your childhood, was spankings the go-to, or did you all have other punishments as well?
I got all the punishments you could think about.
Right.
Like what? What was outside of the spanking?
I couldn't get on the phone. We didn't have computers and stuff like that, but I couldn't go outside, play with my friends. I couldn't call my friends on the phone. I couldn't go to the window to watch them play outside.
Dang.
I got my ass whooped. I had to do all the chores in the house. Like it was like it wasn't good.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, what grandpa and them do?
Right.
Girl, we ain't even gonna go there, Sierra. We're not even gonna go
I think
there.
that goes back to what Nikki was saying. I recently saw a post on Facebook, and it was something that I've always, even before I saw the post on Facebook, I always said this. Like, we all at this stage, we're real big on vibes and accepting responsibility. Like we're back in that headspace as a culture, right? But like Nikki said, I don't think people really sit down and think, well, my parents were just like they were just learning as they went too, just like you learn as you go. Like there's no instruction manual to parenting. You do what you saw your mom do, right? And there's some things that now I think we are more conscious about it, that we say, hey, that didn't make me feel good, or hey, that wasn't effective. Like I know that whoopings weren't effective. Like they just weren't effective. And so now I have changed my mindset. But a lot of people just have not gotten to that. Exactly. A lot of people are still passing down trauma. You're right, Sierra. A lot of people haven't stopped to think, okay, well, that's all my mom knew to do. That's all my dad knew to do, because that's what my grandparents did. And back in that day, when we was little, everybody could spank you. Like even when my parents were growing up, everybody could spank them. So spankings was not. It wasn't. It was the first best thing. It wasn't the next best thing. Like our parents, I don't know if y'all parents, but my mama will tell you when they got in trouble, if they walking down the street, the neighbor could spank them, the auntie could spank them.
Now that's one thing my mother didn't play. My mother didn't play the outside, but my family, like my blood relatives, they can whoop my ass. But anybody on the outside, they can't touch me. Like that wasn't gonna go down, because in my family would.
Yeah, Sierra in the comment section preaching.
Black
It
people in
says
America
black
really
people
only had
in
a yep.
America
That's right.
had
Still.
still figuring it out. You are
Yeah.
right. You're absolutely right. So on to the next question, you guys. Just yes or no. Do you spank your kids? Nikki,
No.
Mr. Washington,
Nah.
Tony.
I'll just give him a couple of plucks. Like,
No. No.
What's a plug? Show me a plug. What's a
Oh, hold
plug?
on. You don't know about them plugs?
plop, plop.
No.
I give him two of them. Plop, plop. Sit down.
Pop, pop.
I'm gonna have to pop you when I see you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, not Auntie Nikki.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yep.
did you
Full
ever
effect.
start off? Did you ever start off spanking your kids, and now you just don't, or
So,
has it never been a part of your discipline at all?
so Jeremiah has had maybe 3 spankings in his entire life.
How old is he?
11. And so
Okay.
I only reserve an ass whooping for you really gotta do some shit that really gonna get under that really absolutely needs to be addressed. Otherwise, generally, like with Jeremiah, he understands that if I gotta show up, it's gonna be a whole lot more of an issue. Like I am the type of person, whereas if we talking about if I'm gonna discipline you, whooping is gonna be the last thing I think of because to me, whooping is kind of it's like a 45-second deterrent. That's it. Like once it's over, you're like, okay, all right, you don't cry a little bit, but what's next? What is going to be the actual redirection in this case?
Right. Okay, so basically what you're saying, let me make sure that I got this right. Your whoopings are only reserved for big things.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And Tony, I know your son's still little, so we gonna navigate past that. Nikki,
Yes.
okay. I know that you have older kids, and then you have your youngest child now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you never spanked, or
All
did
right.
you
I'm
spank then
gonna
stop?
give it to y'all. I'm gonna run it down real quick. I have my oldest. How old is he? My oldest is 28, and then my youngest son is 25. Right. I was young when I had him. I was 18 with my first and 21 with my second. So keep in mind, I'm just getting out there with the tools I've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did. I did whoop their ass. I did. However, when I joined the military, when I came, back home and stuff, I started punishing them doing military exercises that I know that I hated when I was in boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would beat them down. In the military, they beat you down. And I would beat them down every time. And then I'm like, yo, I would just make them do certain type of exercises and stuff like that. Now, my mouth wasn't the greatest either. Even after I joined the military, my mouth wasn't the greatest either. However, I think I was getting better as I started getting older. When I had Morgan, I think I was like 36 years old. So I was a whole different type of parent with her with my expectations. Then I never had a girl child. And so I had a lot of trauma. A lot of things happened to me as a child.
Okay. All right. So let me see. My daughter, I did start off spanking. And then I realized that she's just like me. Whoopings were like, okay, what you doing this for? So it's kind of like I'm like you, Lawrence. The ass whoopings are reserved for like you just doing something outrageous that you ain't have no business doing. Like, and we haven't gotten to that point, but I will say this: that mouth, Lord Jesus, my child likes to have the last word, and so do I. So it's like, even though I'm not spanking, it's like I'm still talking because I'm like, I gotta get this shit out some kind of way. Like, I'm not gonna hit you because it don't do anything. But I gotta speak my piece, right? So I think that's the point that we're at now is that I'm trying to grow up to be like Nikki and learn to watch my mouth, because as we know, words hurt just as bad as whippings. So that's my next question. Y'all know parents are like, I'm sure everybody has heard it saying, this gonna hurt me more than it hurt you. Is that a true statement or not? What y'all think?
Well,
No,
that what Sierra said.
no, after, oh God, look at, no. Let me tell you what. I don't believe if somehow it hurt you more than it hurt me, I'm gonna need you to cry your hurt out too. I ain't never seen my mama cry with my ass. Like all I saw was the fist of fury. That's all I saw. So I don't know what part it hurt her at. If it did, she could let me know later on. But
I
when
really wish
the
your mom was watching live right now.
Hey, let me go message her. Let me go message her.
but when I mean, and the times I've had to whoop my child, it hasn't really necessarily hurt me. Like he knew how disappointed I was, because I'm not going to just whoop your ass. We're gonna have a conversation before I whoop you. So, and my son knows, like my belt, I think it's somewhere around his house. But I have my grandfather's belt. It's an inch and a half thick, genuine leather belt, extremely thick, and when it hit, it sounded like a damn hurricane. So my son knows at the end of the day, if I'm coming for you, it's because you really did something wrong. But we're gonna have a conversation about it. Let's talk about why you about to get your ass whooped, because I need you to understand that this is absolutely unacceptable.
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question. Like, do you feel like, or have you tried, like, just consistently having conversations without the threat of violence? Because that's pretty much what an ass whooping is.
Well,
It's almost like we're like doing things to get control over something that is most things what kids are going through are lessons and stuff. They have more access to a lot more than we did as far as learning lessons and stuff like that, or just knowing things. It's not like, I go outside and talk with my friends. That's the only time I talk to people. These kids are literally having access to the world at their fingertips now. So they're learning things. They want to try new things and stuff like that. So that's my question to you.
So, I mean, for me, okay, so the last time my son got an ass whooping was when he called his substitute teacher, called her a bitch and called her retarded. Mm-hmm. So at that point in time, my son knew better. That's number one. You know damn well what it is. Right. Like we're not gonna fake like this is something that just came out of the middle of nowhere, or no. At that point in time, you knew better. So if it's something that I know right and wrong from, there are some times where there's gray areas. Cool, I ain't got a problem with it. But in that particular case, no. I'm like at that point in time, the same energy you gave that teacher when you call her that is the same energy you about to get at this point in time. Even before that, my son hadn't had his ass whooped in a couple years. The last time he had it was when he spit at his teacher.
I remember.
So,
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that, Morgan? That.
Yes.
And I got called to leave work because the teacher didn't want to deal with him anymore. And it wasn't once, it was twice. So there are certain things where I'm going to have a conversation with you about, because yes, there are some times where you may not know any better, or you may be doing it because you see the other kids doing it. Cool. I ain't a problem with that. Let's have a conversation with it. Now it's 2022. We could be a lot more creative with our discipline than what our parents did with us and what their parents did with them, what our grandparents did with our parents. So we could be a lot more creative now when it comes to things, and kids are a lot more affected by the smaller things we do than with us. So I get it to a certain extent, whereas not necessarily saying, hey, you should always resort to violence, but there's just sometimes where I feel like I gotta get that energy. But my son knows most times now that he's 11, that if he does something and I get a phone call, he knows it's gonna be a problem. But it's like I said, it's just not something where I like to resort to. So he knows that if there's a really big issue, then we may have a problem at that point.
Right. So my next question is,
he's only 11. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but let me tell you, that little boy, he got a lot of sense. So he knows he knows
My
right
son is
from
an old
wrong.
man.
He's
My son
older,
is an old
so
man.
it's like if he does something he know ain't right, he already know he done for. Like that's my child too. Like she already knows. Like the other day, she called me or texted me before the teacher even got a chance. She was like, because she knew she had messed up, you know. And I think that's for me. I can only speak for me. I think that's one of my biggest irritants when it's time to discipline. It's like, now, if I didn't teach you no better, then that would be one thing. But it's like, especially for a child that you know better, it's like, bro, why you do that? What gave you the notion to do that when you know you come from a home that teach you right from wrong? We teach you your manners. You get in trouble. Like, it'll be different if you did something you don't get in trouble for it. But my child would literally tell the teacher, like, she used to tell the teacher, "Oh, my mama ain't gonna do nothing," but then
Oh,
get home and be like, "I'm sorry." Why would you do that? You know that we're not that type of family. So I think that's my biggest irritant. And mine's really, I don't know. I was gonna ask y'all this. Um do you think that whoopings really are out of love or out of habit?
out of habit.
Habit.
Because we've been getting whooped for 300-400 years
Yes.
to make sure we get disciplined. So we just carrying on that old tradition. That's all really whoopings are.
A
And that's why
tradition. I agree.
I feel like I'm breaking the generational curse in my particular, upbringing and stuff like that, and handling Morgan, not even my kids, my older kids, but I'm handling my 10-year-old with just doing things differently with her, because I know I wasn't the best parent when I was, younger, but I'm just trying to be a better parent now. And I'm not saying that to say I'm giving her all the right tools and she's going to go out there and be this extraordinary person and never be her kids. I can't say that. The only thing I can say is that I tried my best through her to break the generational curse. Me and my wife are both doing that through her because we've been through a lot of trauma. So we're
But
trying to not do that, huh?
that's an accomplishment. Like, to be able to recognize now sooner than later, that's a really big accomplishment. I don't know if it was like a self acknowledgement, or like if your kids told you, "Hey mom, you did this is how I feel
No,
about it."
it
But
wasn't them telling me anything. It was more so of self acknowledgement and
yeah.
seeing things and just being more aware, and me being in counseling and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, a lot of things that I've been through in my past, just with growing up, just with life. I'm like, wow, this is why I was doing certain things, and this is why I was saying certain things. And I actually apologized to both of my sons, and they said,
Wow.
"Mom, you did the best thing, Like, they never blamed me for anything, but I think that they were more caught off guard that I was even bringing it up to them and apologizing to them.
Okay, that's what's up. Again, that's a really big accomplishment. Y'all know we have to applaud ourselves, especially in those
Right.
moments, because it's not easy being a parent. Like, again, there's no rule book, there's no instruction manual. You just learning off what you
What you was
see other
taught.
people doing, what you've been taught, what you like, what you didn't like. So big ups, Nikki, for
Thank
being
you.
able to
I,
do that, for being that parent. Go ahead,
Dead
Tony.
ass
I,
son. Dead ass son.
oh.
Shut up.
Yeah. That's that
I'm
up
about,
top
I'm
language.
about that.
Hey,
um,
pick the Tims up real quick.
I don't have no Tims. I need to get me some Tims,
I gotta
actually.
get me some Tims too.
No, I'm good.
They cost too much.
Okay,
I might.
a Southerner wearing Tims is an
Don't do it, Tony.
oxymoron.
I'm from
Don't do it, Tony.
California. I'm from California.
Even
Yeah.
worse, y'all don't even have anything that resembles a cold day.
Oh my
That
goodness.
don't matter. That don't matter. It's cold.
Y'all
It
feet
gets
gonna be
cold here.
sweating. Smell like preparation H.
No,
Oh,
no, no.
anyway, Tony,
I
what
didn't say
you
I didn't say I was getting Uggs. I said I was getting some Tims.
man? And let me tell you, if you do get your Uggs, please throw them out in a timely manner. Okay. Once they start leaning to the left, it's time to get a new pair.
Oh, okay.
Woo! So
Did
my
that just
question
click?
was, uh, I said something. I said something earlier that kind of like put myself in the deep thought. Like, are we the only ones that whoop our children?
Are you
As in,
meaning color culture?
yeah, correct.
No,
We don't. No.
no, we're
Nah.
not. We're
Mm-mm.
not.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So that actually, my next question was that did you have more to that question, Tony?
No, that's like something legit. Like, cause I don't spend much time around other people that aren't black. But like, I just want like that just made me think. Like, damn, are we the only one? Because I know some other races just put that kid in timeout, and you know what I'm saying. I need to look at the
Well,
camera.
I mean, okay, so
They,
okay,
they
so
do.
as you leave America, there are a lot of cultures that are really into punishment, like
Mm-hmm.
whether it's going to be something that's internal or whether that's going to be something like there are. I've definitely seen some switches get pulled out of a lot of unnecessary as places. So yeah,
Wow. All right. So this the second part of this question is public humiliation. What are you all's thoughts? Like, I know over the years this it's become big to record and put on Facebook, put on Instagram. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why or why not?
it's stupid.
I'm totally against public humiliation when it comes to kids.
Right.
Period. It's I don't know. I just think that you're adding on to whatever they did. Let's just say they did something really bad. Let's just say it was even a white kid that said something racist to a classmate or whatever, and we want to see it. But at the end of the day, they kids. You know what I'm saying? And just putting them, adding them, you're adding to a lot of their on top of their mental. They're gonna be trying to think about ways to either get back at you or they're gonna get back at whoever they did something to, whoever said something. It's just, I think that it's just a domino effect. Like you keep doing something, then the next thing is gonna happen, and the next thing is gonna happen. I just feel like that's so horrible to do to kids, period, under any circumstance.
So I had somebody who told me very simply that you embarrassing your child, the initial embarrassment is going to go away. That video is not. Once you
Mm.
upload that video,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
going to be a copy saved somewhere.
Yeah.
Period.
Internet
So
forever.
and so that is basically saying, let me record your trauma and keep a
Mhm.
copy of it to show you 25 years later. Like
Mm.
I think
Wow.
I think it's like it's absolutely crazy. It's like why would you do that? Why would you do that to your kid? It's already bad enough that they get in trouble. Like don't let it become a situation where they remember or it gets brought up again in 5 years when they in high school and somebody want to talk shit. So now they done felt this tape of your mama whooping your ass in the middle of the movie theater. And guess what? Kids are mean. Like people are vicious, more vicious as you get older. And
Yeah.
so at that point in time, don't set your kid up over something that everybody's going to be past in the next 45 minutes.
Right. Right.
Right.
I agree.
So, one last question before we move into final thoughts. And Tony, I'll start with you. Do you all think that kids misbehaving is a direct resemblance of your parenting? So, I know that a lot of people, especially the people that do the public humiliation, like they feel like you embarrass me as a parent, so I'm gonna embarrass you. What do you think about that, Tony?
I do think to an extent it is a reflection of the parent. And in some cases, not all, but some cases, some of them be just at their wits end of like, I don't know what to do to discipline this child to get this child to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like and at that point, once it gets to that point, it's a little too late. Like you let this slide, you let that slide, you let that slide, and now 6, 7, 10 years later, they're a menace, and now you feel like the only option you have is to post on the internet some shit. So shit, I done turned myself around. So yeah, it's fully on the parent.
All right,
It's
Nikki,
100% on the parent.
what do you think? Do you think a child's behavior is a direct reflection of the parenting?
I think absolutely not is not a direct reflection, because a lot of children, some are more influenced by their peers than others. So it doesn't really matter too much about what they learn at home, is what they do when they get outside around kids that are doing things that maybe those kids don't know any better, or maybe they don't have any boundaries set at home, but your kid wants to fit in. So guess what? I'm going to do the same thing, or I'm going to try that too, not knowing that the consequences may be different for each,
For your child.
depending on the child. So I don't think it's a direct. There are some instances where there are kids that are growing up in a real trash environment, and they come out to be some extraordinary fucking humans.
That's true.
So it can go either way.
So I completely agree, Nikki. And I had to take an inventory of my relationship with my daughter. Even the relationship with me and my mom. Like, even though I got my ass whoopings, like my mom is that's my girl, man. That's like my best friend. And I think I didn't appreciate my mom until I appreciated my mom when I was younger. I just was not able to show it as a child. And as I got older, it was easier for me to show my appreciation for my mom. But I will say this: I did have to take an inventory on how I was treating my daughter, because I did initially feel that way. Like, man, why are you doing this? People are gonna think that I'm not disciplining you, or whatever the case may be. And then I really started to see how it was taking a toll on her mentally. And I'm like, even physically for me, I'm like, I don't want to whoop your ass every time somebody called me. Like, it was just too tiring for me to whoop your ass every time you got in trouble. So I had to start doing different things. Now, again, my child is just like me. Like, when I was little, my mom took my TV away because I was misbehaving. I didn't get the TV back till I was in high school and bought my own TV, and it didn't faze me. Like, that's how my daughter is. But I did have to come to the realization that not every technique works for every child. So this is, as we go into our final thought, just to wrap this up. What, Mr. Washington, you are muted. That's probably a good thing, because you probably
First of all, hold on. Pineapples, because I didn't get the chance to say my piece.
Well, nobody kicked you out the club. You walked out by yourself.
Anyway, but okay. So real quick, when people say it's a reflection of the parenting,
real quick.
All right, when people say it's a reflection of the parenting, it also really kind of depends on. It really kind of depends on what the goal is from the person parenting. So the thing about it is like we said earlier, people are projecting their trauma, their pain forward. You're projecting that forward. So yes, in those particular situations, it's gonna be. I don't think it's necessarily the fault of the parent, because all they're doing is what they were taught. Now, with that being said, I also understand Nikki's point where people have been through trash lives and grew up to be absolutely extraordinary. Now, I don't think that gives people a pass just to not to figure out a way to discipline your child. But I also want to make sure that people understand that sometimes it is not about discipline. It's about therapy. Black people don't like going to therapy. And that's something that we also going to have to figure out how to take care of as well, because we substitute therapy for discipline, and we don't know how to distinguish between the two. Wow. Anyway, please continue.
Wow, what? I ain't gonna mute you no more.
Do you need a little bit more time? Because I'll give you like more if you need to dive into that. Like, oh man, okay. So
that's why we have to normalize therapy. And that's part of what I'm breaking, the whole generational curse. That's included in what I'm trying to do with, our 10-year-old, is to normalize therapy.
Right. So
we just found a new we just found our topic for another couple weeks.
We did, and I'm actually going to roll, just like last week, I'm going to roll that question over into the group. So make sure that y'all put y'all input on there. But just to wrap today's episode up, I do, for your final thoughts, give me your best punishment that you give your kid outside of spankings. What is the number one punishment that you all do?
Sit him on the pot without a cell phone, looking at Baby Shark.
What? You let Tiny Tony sit on the pot without his cell phone. Does that work?
Yeah, yeah. It's a good punishment.
Okay. Punishment.
Okay, Auntie Nikki. We'll talk. Look, Auntie Nikki, like she ain't.
It was a joke.
I feel like he want to fight me though. I feel like he like that. Like he want to really shoot the 5.
All right,
for real.
What's your best alternative punishment?
Me?
You or Lawrence? Which one? Either one of y'all.
Like she get her tablet taken away.
See?
Yeah.
But she don't care.
That's mine too.
So it's really hard. So what we do, like as far as discipline, we sit down and have root talks. What caused you to do XYZ? Who told you? What were you around? What made you do that? Tell me what you're going to do going forward. Like we have those kind of talks. We don't she don't really get punished, but we have like those type of root talks. We did all of this,
so she can understand herself what she did. That's how I am too. I agree with that. Lawrence, what about you?
I mean, my son.
Wait, Samina said she got teenagers and she just changed the Wi-Fi password and don't tell them.
Hey, so thank you for that, because I slick asked y'all this question because I need to know what y'all do. Because
okay, so I have 2 punishments. My son suffers from this thing we call extreme laziness. So I make him go. I make him do suicide.
Said that like it was
I make him do suicides.
Ooh.
I make him do suicides. Either that or I switch out his chicken fingers for vegan nuggets.
Oh, that's horrible. That's child abuse.
Why are you doing him like that? Why?
And then because the thing about it is there's
so
sometimes
they're just starving your kids. Okay.
Not starving.
And it gets he gets all. Let me tell you what, the state of Georgia only requires bread and water. That's it.
The fact that you know that.
Vegan nuggets is on the list of abuse, Henny.
But do we have any CPS workers on this street?
First of all, no. Let's go past CPA. Let's go past that. Do we have any mandated reporters in this chat? If y'all do,
I'm gonna report you because you
go ahead and mute her, Tony.
That is abuse.
Where is she? Because this is
not the truth. Any dip? You at least give him some barbecue sauce or something to dip it in? Like
no, they dry, baby, straight dry.
Oh, that's abuse.
You know what?
No, that's abuse.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut this short.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony.
Well, all right. Thank you all so much for your input on to spank or not to spank your kids. This is really a enlightening conversation. We do have some questions that we're going to take over to the group. So make sure you join us there if you haven't already at Only Child Play Group Atlanta 2.0. Again, I am the founder of that group and the host of this podcast, I Love My Kids. But I'm Morgan. Today I got with me Nikki, Mr. Washington, and Tony P. Until next week, we out of here, y'all.
But why she had to big up herself? I'm the owner of this group. I'm the creator. Lord Jesus. Okay, Jesus. Okay, Picasso.
Sound like
give me some light.
You get